Well, good evening and happy Friday. Welcome to the Just Jump In live stream. Hope your Friday's going well. Make sure to shout out and say hi and let me know that audio is working. Hey, Jimmy, thanks for letting me know. Welcome in. Randy, welcome in. Tim, welcome in. Nice to see you all in here. I finally get to say I got some regulars, and I appreciate you being in there. And there's Mom, who is always a regular, unless there's the New York Rangers hockey game. And there is Gopher Girl. Welcome, Gopher Girl. So, what have I done lately? Well, I'm getting ready. So, next thing up at the end of this month is the Dollhouse Miniature Show. So, I'm doing some final prep on that, and then I need to figure out how I'm going to transport all the stuff and not break it, because it's pretty fragile what I've made, and I haven't been able to figure out a way to make it a little less fragile. I just need to stop throwing it around. But I've got a couple of the tables ready to go. The table display is ready. I displayed that at the modelers retreat. Then I have some of the train cases, and they're ready to go. The trains, I could do some painting on those, make them look a little better. Track, and I bought some of the acetate from Michael's, and I'll just put that together with the track, and if people want to use them, they can. The thing about the display case is it'll actually work well for any miniature, so I don't want to pigeonhole that. Should have had these ready to show. Let me pull this back out a little bit. But this is 6x6 sheets of acetate that come in this pack. And this is a little under 6 inches. And so I figure with the track also, I'll cut the track down so that it'll fit snug in there, and give 4 pieces and a piece of the acetate if somebody wants these. And they can decide to make them themselves, or just by gluing things in, or if they want to use this, this will work great for if they want to display little plates and things, miniatures. They'll be able to do that in here, or little vases or something like that. So hopefully people like that. The main focus is to get people to the booth, not to focus on these pieces, to focus on the more expensive stuff. More expensive stuff like, $1,500, $2,000 piece of furniture that my mom is selling. So, but that's almost ready to go. We don't have a big enough display because of table space to put that display on the wall. So I'm working on printing out a stand. So that's going on in the background. I'm trying to figure the best way to make it as least in the way as possible. And so we're moving along with that. So I started this week, or last 2 weeks, focusing on the convention stuff. Not so much the the cab car, which I need to get back to, but the train station. I couldn't say what it was. And I've gotten some pictures out there. I don't know if I'll do it justice here. And I tried to use a separate camera, but there's so much interference with my phone. But mainly the scenery. I was trying to bulk up the scenery. So I'm going to remove that. Let's see if we can. Can't really pull that out much more. But one of the things I wanted to do in here was beat this up. It was just a plain slab. And so I think the cuts are a little bit too straight and obnoxious, but I used a number 11 blade to cut in cracks. And then I used some taco sauce. Well, we call it taco sauce here in the Twin Cities, and beyond. But it's the Tamiya panel liner, and I used that to fill in the cracks. And then I added a little bit of Woodland Scenics lichen to have weeds growing out of the cracks. And let's see if. And what I think I want to do is I kind of want to weather it all over top of that a little bit to make it look more weathered. But there you can see, and I added some of the lichen on the building as well, all the way around. But there's some cracks and the weeds growing out of it. Came out okay. The other thing I did was, again, the concrete slab was just that. It was just a concrete square slab. It wasn't exciting. It didn't show much to it. So I went about creating tufts, and I tried a couple methods. One was with pulling apart a brush and using some glue with that. These are nice because they're nice and stiff, and you can get some tall grass or tall weeds, and but they weren't great for everything. So I only have a few, and tried to put them in some different places. I'm going to try and show you that again. See if I can in a little bit. It's going to be so, like, there's this right here growing around the sign, growing out of the track. And then I have some over here again growing by the side of the track. And I incorporated some in the back here. And those were just painted with earth tone colors to give them, because this is a very, very white and very light color. But where the best one to show you is, but you can see the difference. They look more dead that way and a little bit more natural. Then, so that was okay, and I made a few of those. I still wanted to get better at making tufts from the static grass. So I started out, and I thought I was following directions. I thought I was using parchment paper. It turned out I was using wax paper, and these things wouldn't pull off of the wax paper. And thank you, Randy. I appreciate that. That's this right here. Removable so you can see the inside, but you can also see the inside if you get up close here and see the roof there. And then there's some graffiti on the inside on both sides there. and the station sign that I just recently added on there as well. So I went about doing the tufts and I ruined them all. They didn't work. And then I realized I wasn't using parchment paper. I was using wax paper. And the glue that Woodland Scenics and their whole, if you're going to use their whole system and everything, and I have their Static King, their equipment there. So I use their Tough Tack, and this is really, really tacky glue, and it actually is very sticky when it's dried. And that was destroying the wax paper, was sticking to it. But as you can see on here, it worked great. I painted. You can see I painted them. They came right off of the parchment paper, and even though they were sticky, I still glued them down. Tried to glue them in. Whoop. That was good. Tried to glue them in patches. The 7mm, it's pretty good. It looks a little flat, but it's still pretty good. I used 7mm all the way around, and I had a light straw color and then a green, but I painted them again too to show that they were kind of used up, and I have them overgrowing around the concrete slab again to cover up the plainness of that. And so have some here as well up front. So it worked a lot better. I was happy with that second round. I actually have 2 more sheets that I haven't used. I could fill this up even more, but you can see here's the straw color. It's this really bright color, compared to it painted with the earth tones, like a mud brown and a medium kind of color. And this one, I really was toying with a hey, Real Artist, welcome in. Appreciate you having you here. Thank you, Mom. Appreciate it. It's a little bit harder to see interiors in smaller scales, Mom, but there are plenty of people who still do all this interior work. Of course, dollhouses, it's all about the interior, not the exterior. But there's plenty of interiors in model railroading as well. So, it seems like, Real Artist Mike, it seems like clubs are like, really, you have to like them or not. You either like them or not like them. They're not really any middle range. Welcome, Brad. Nice to see you in here. So the other thing I felt I really wanted to make it even kind of more less grass and turf look to it, and I wanted to add some muddiness to it and stuff, but I'm really nervous about doing that. I've seen plenty of methods, and I wasn't confident, and I think this is pretty well detailed, but I did make an attempt to make something, to try to mock up or test mud. And I have had this for years, and it's still just fine in the bottle, but I have the gloss Mod Podge, and I started with the modeling powders, but it didn't. The powders just blended into this and gave a color, but it didn't give it any grain, and it didn't make it like muddy. And I didn't go outside and pull, you know, dried mud or dried pieces of dirt or anything like that. So I was working kind of with what I had. So I went to the Wayback Machine, and one of the earliest things I did was I was trying to do everything on the cheap. And at a train show, I bought, and it was in a, like a gallon bag of sawdust. And in general, um, it's pretty big granules for each scale for anything. So I didn't end up really using it. I painted some and I tried it out for ground cover. Never really liked it, so it sat for years. So I thought I need something to make it grainy. So I mixed this in with the Mod Podge, and I used this Craft Smart chocolate brown. It's like a burnt umber. It's a earthy kind of brown. And so what I ended up coming up with was this. And so it has a little bit of gloss to it, but it has the texture. And I kind of molded this piece of styrofoam just to kind of see if I can get like grooves in here. Because I really want to add a little bit of water feature. And I thought maybe the Mod Podge would do that. And you can do that for water. You can use it as a water feature glue. But I could put some of the 2-part resin on top of this. But what this really looks like is a pastry to me. It just makes me hungry. It looks like chocolate to me. But as I'm looking at the scale of things, if I did like a path on here, maybe off from the back here, coming up this way, or way out the front end here where there isn't much of anything, I could do a little something there, but it would have to be very small, very tiny amount, because again, just scale wise, the grains of the sawdust just seem big. But it would have to be a tiny little path here. And so I kind of just get nervous about it. And so I haven't pulled the trigger on doing it. Well, we got some other people coming in. Hey, Ken, that's a good tip. Home Depot gives sawdust for free. My Mount Models. Yes, it looks good enough to eat. I'm holding this here and it's making me hungry, because those of you in Minnesota will know, you go into a Quick Trip, which is just a gas station convenience store, and they have all their pastries and all their donuts and stuff. And this makes me think of that all day and all night long. So let's put this aside for a minute. That's a good tip, Rail Artist. Jimmy, yes, exactly. That's I'm staring at that and I'm thinking, how quickly can I get off the live stream and go to Quick Trip? A little bit of advertising for them. When you say the Randy's Auto is next in your queue, does that mean like it's in your blue tub, or does that mean it's actually like your next kit that you're going to build? So I just wanted to show you something that I did try here as well. It's this kind of this is really glossy. You can see some texture on this. So this is supposed to be a crackle paste. I definitely, I can't afford the kind of stuff that Boomer gets. So I got this folk art crackle paste. Um, it's supposed to be fine. I've had varying success over time with this, and I've had completely no success with this. Um, it just it just gives it has a texture on it, but it didn't crackle. That's what I was originally going to try to do with this. When that didn't work, I decided, okay, I'm going to go for it, and I'm going to try and do the cracks with the knife. Now, I thought about getting the markers out and doing just kind of visual cracks with thin markers, but I didn't feel like that was realistic enough, and so that's why I went with the knife. And uh, so sounds like a plan. A bunch of model railroaders hanging out at a convenience store sounds like a lot of trouble. I had some pictures on online, and I these didn't come out real great, but does that look like a sign that anybody might have seen in the Southwest Metro of the Twin Cities? I don't know if I can get it close enough. It came out okay. I printed it on glossy 3x or 4x6 paper. I also have some decal paper, but I went with this and I put a couple of those signs up. I also snagged some no trespassing signs. And there was a sign or two that came with this. I added the Walnut Grove sign to the roof here, and added a train board in there, because this is the waiting room. This would be the ticket window here. So I added the board there that came with the kit, and then I had to graffiti that, and I graffitied it with the word "late" on there. Not that you can see it up close in the camera. So I added that, and it's I don't think we looked at this side a whole lot. This is the one where it has both my graffiti and actual decal that came out good. Added some vines to that as well. There's the other. Here's a close up. There's the other sign. It looks nice if you look up close. So at the convention, people can get real close to it and stuff. So now the other thing I did was, and I don't know if I'll do anything with these, but I just had the scale lumber, so I just put some wood piles together. Those were actually stained, but they came out really light. So I'll just probably dry brush them or something, and maybe add them like in the back or something. For the most part, with the roof on here, you're going to see a lot less of this area unless you come back behind and look at it. But maybe I'll do that. I had the stuff, so I want to see if I can get this as, kind of super detailed, and see how it does at the convention in the 12 by 12 category. I'll still probably ask them to score it or evaluate it, as for the structure certificate, and see what they come up with, what they tell me. I mean, from my experience with evaluation, I think what they would think of this kit as being somewhat of a simple structure. So I might not get high points there, but hopefully, something like the detailing I do okay with, something like that. We'll see. So that's what I've been working on, and let's see here. The only other thing I've been doing, with the 3D printing, I'm actually been printing shells for Gopher Girl. Let's see how that's going. She has about 1 million of those brick heads, and I found these shells that you can put together, that you can connect together and create some different designs. So let's see here. I don't know if it's gonna let me. Come on. Why won't you let me? Oh, it's because I need to learn how to do these things. All right, so let's get rid of me. So it's a little hard to see on here, but I'm up to about 24 or 25 of those things, and they connect together on all sides, so you can do all kinds of different designs, and then they have a ledge that comes off of them. And so I just keep printing those. They don't take too long, maybe an hour and a half or 2 hours. So the other thing is, this week is one of my weeks in the office. And so what I can do at home has been a little bit more limited. All right. What happened to my camera? Oh, do I have to do it? There we go. I apparently have to do something. I don't know how that happened. So these are the different shelves, and we're doing all kinds of different colors. But the brick head base, that's it. The brick head base goes in here, and there's different ones have these different hooks, and some of them don't have any. But as you can see, they can connect on all sides. So 6 sides, and these just simply, as I say that, they simply slide in, and you can get them flush. I think this one I had a little bit of, you can see this one had a little bit of printing problems on the end, so it doesn't fit as tightly, but mainly they do fit together, just like that. They come right out, but and then display them on the wall and everything. Brickheads are definitely not my favorite, but they're one of my wife's favorite Legos, and so she's got a lot of them, you know, all the branded kinds. And oh yes, I was very I was very mean because I made you buy your own filament. I buy my own, so to build my stuff. And but you know, and still have this out here. Okay, I don't know why that's doing that, but okay. So I showed you this last time. So I didn't go ahead and remake this. I stuck with the ones that I made from the brush for now. And then I'll think about at a later time, maybe updating this a little bit, to see if it can help. If it can help, I'll let people see the file and everything. And if, and everything I make is actually basically public, because I use the program Onshape. And if you don't pay them for a license, then it's public and anybody can take and modify any of your designs. I'm not doing this for commercial venture or anything, so they can take and modify my designs if they want. And if there's a reason to go private with those, I'll take them down, or I will pay the license and make them private. But I don't see a need for that. I actually want to promote more sharing of 3D printing in the hobby, because there are so many people to do it, and I know of 3 or 4 people in the Twin Cities, and would like more sharing of the files, more help, helping each other with design, more promoting of it. How can we use it best in the hobby? How can we help other people use it in the hobby? Those are all, things I want to work on. I don't know if I'll be able to get the others to connect on that, but I certainly would like to. So I certainly would like to make that connection. I know there are groups out there on Facebook, and there's at least one that I'm part of that's model railroading 3D printing. I know there's other YouTubers who use 3D printers. I've reached out to some of them. 1 or 2 of them have said that they design, but most of them take files from others, like I've done too. And sorry, I'm distracted for a moment. Anyway, so if anybody out there is into 3D printing and wants to connect on it, I would like to learn from them, and I'd like to help them out where I could. What I need to do is I need to get back to 3D printing the parts for the passenger cars. And, I have a few of them printed for the next car that I build. But I would like for time for updating this, for for getting these done, I would like to get all of these parts or most of them into my 3D printer. And right now I've designed this box. I've designed the center air reservoir. Of course, for this one, I already did the sandbox. I've designed this cow catcher in 3D printing successfully. Got it to print successfully 2 out of, I think, 4 tries, but I got it done. This is a very basic shape, was easy to make. So want to see if I can make some of these other shapes and get these cars moving so I can get them done. Also the hope is, I don't think I'll do it. I'll end up getting it done, but the hope is that I will be able to design the shell as well in the 3D printer. I have enough for the cars that I have that I'm doing for passenger cars, but that's a goal of mine. I've done a side of a Bud car, which is a different design, older design, and it did come out. It did print, and and what I upscale, I had an N scale version of the Amtrak car, and it was a Bud version, and I just designed the side, and I upscaled it for HO, and it printed. So I know it can be done, and I would like to. I don't know if I can get my modeling skills good enough to have very square lines for windows, or just those curves, or the little ledge that goes around the window. If I can design those in 3D, it's the same thing. It's just using a different tool. I'd like to try and do that. So that's down the line, though. So I have to get back to focusing on this. And I can't remember if I had mentioned at the last, during one of the last ones, I don't know if you can see here, but these all have brass tubing on them. And these cars have these holes here on either end. And so what I'll do is I will wire to the decoder buddy that's in here on both ends, have pads for for track power. And so I will get just a little solder joint on each of the wheels, and I'll get those done. I'll have to make sure that these are positioned correctly and isolated the right way. The other thing that I'll look to pick up, because these are not flush on the axles, so that's why they can still move freely, and why you can solder to them. It's recommended to have keep alive to make sure that if these do miss a contact as they're rotating, the keep alive will keep them going, and then I'll have to connect that in there. That's a down the line purchase at some point. But that's the other piece, is getting this done. And so I don't know that I'll really have this done. I'm going to have to go and I'm going to have to remove this decal. This one cracked. I don't know. I'm going to practice on one of the other shells from one of the other cars, using either straight black paint, like acrylic paint, or the paint markers that I use. I'll try both of them, and like Mia tape, to see if I can get those painted, because I've gone through. I have a few more sets, but I've gone through a few of these sets, and they're not readily available anymore. To get these on and get them straight and not cracked like this one cracked. So that's next on the agenda for this car. I don't know how far I'll get for the convention, but I'm hoping to have this. I'm hoping to be closer than I am and getting back to this and focusing on this a little bit more. And certainly after I'm done and I'm ready to go with all of the pieces for the miniature show, I'll be able to, push myself to get back to this car. But those are the projects that I've been working on. What is everybody else working on? I'm pretty sure we all know what Brad is working on, and as he keeps working and putting out videos and posts on YouTube of his work, which is coming along great. And I know Ken's usually working on his workbench, especially in nights when he's listening to me ramble on. So. And for those of you wonder if I displayed at the modelers retreat my mount models. It's Wiley's Tavern, but I made it a Stuff Your Face, which is a restaurant I grew up with out east in New Jersey. And there's actually a picture in his gallery. Actually, we got like let's pull this up. That's not what I want to do. Let's try this again. How many times can I mess this up? Let's see. So this is the Stuff Your Face. Now they're right next to the campus of Rutgers University in New Jersey, and they obviously have a big clientele and a big tie there. So all my details are Rutgers details. I took the writing and their logo of their Stuff Your Face guy, and I forget what his name is, and I put that on instead of the instead of Wiley's on there. And so that the white part of that building is like a stucco finish, and then it's wood. The blue is wood. I learned about shingle roofs, and I don't like shingle roofs, and so I'm going to avoid those from now on. But so that's kind of one of my nemesis in the hobby. So I haven't, Jimmy, I haven't, I hear about the Roberts brick mortar, but haven't ever tried that myself. Um, any tips or tricks with using that? So, and can the Rust-Oleum photo transfer? I don't think I've ever heard of that. What is that? Oh, is it like a transfer medium? Let's see here. Well, that's a data sheet. That's not so helpful. Let's see. You'll need to blast it off. Um, so what Ron from my Mount Models suggested was a texture paint, basically, and it actually came out really nice. So um, I, there are parts of it, and I think you can see it in these pictures that came out a little bit thin. And that's on me and me not doing multiple coats or making sure that it's covered. But it really did a nice job making it look and have the feel of the stucco paint that gets put on buildings. Oh, well, I missed that demo. Then did he demo it in the big room or did he demo it when he was? He didn't demo in his clinic, did he? I didn't fall asleep during that part, did I? No. So I don't see an easy picture of it. Let's see if there's images. When I look up Robert's brick mortar, uh, there's a few out there. Let's see. Let's see. Well, it just any picture I see online just goes out to bottles of it to buy. I was looking for bottles, but I know there are videos out on YouTube that you can watch for the Roberts brick mortar. Ah, okay. Yeah, I missed that. So let's see here. Let's see if I can. And let's see something. So let's see from. Let's add screen. Screen. Let's see. So this is somebody's picture online. of using the brick mortar. Everybody has an opinion about this too. Thank you, Jimmy. Appreciate it. With the stuff your face mascot. Um, the Everybody has an opinion on mortar. The My opinion is I just I don't like I don't want it to be so bright that it pulls away from what you're looking at. There are people that use dark colors for mortar, or they darken between. They use a black, or some type of filler like that, or I've thought of anytime I've done mortar, I've done it. I've tried to put gray in it so it wasn't so bright. I used to use spackle was the first one I ever used. That was the first tip I ever got, and it worked fine. It worked great, but it was too bright white all the time. So I used to add paint to it, and this was in N scale too when I first started. And in N scale, you really, really just need a hint of something. You don't want to fill it because it would just be too big against the brick. See, yeah, Jimmy. The dark wash, a lot of people do that as well, and I've done that, and I like that as well. I used to be afraid of washes. I was like, to me, it was like you were painting over stuff, and you do all this work to make something look the way it does. But as I've started to use them, I've really enjoyed um, using washes to pull out color and to give something darker tones when it's too bright. It's an easy way to do it, and so definitely a good tip to use washes. Um, and I think one of the first things I ever got from a landscaping point of view, I got the little kit from Woodland Scenics to paint rock and your mountains and everything in what they used to call leopard spotting, where you use those sponge brushes, which I don't use a lot of anymore, but I have a bunch. But but this is a sponge brush, and you're painting down the side, and it came with like 6 colors, but they were all washes, is all they were. Hey Jerry, welcome in. Nice to have you in here. Um, Appreciate you stopping by. So with the leopard spotting method, you were just pulling down um, the washes, and they had like an ochre wash and some of the other black and some browns and earth tones, and so that's all it was washes. That was the first thing I learned for um, landscaping. So, but I thought it was interesting going back and thinking about it, that that's all it was washes. Jerry, what are you working on tonight? Other than all the food you're always working on and posting, always making me hungry. So I've last couple of weekends we had train shows and stuff in the Twin Cities, and um, I don't know if I showed everybody this, but all passenger cars have 36-inch wheels, and the Walther's kits I bought actually have 36-inch wheels. Here you can see in the kit the wheels from the Walther's Horizons. This one is from them. This bright wheel and everything. But I've gotten used to using Intermountain wheels, and I've enjoyed them a lot. So I had the opportunity and had a good price on them. I only bought a pack, and now a pack of these will fit 3 cars. They had the 100 pack at the show, and it was a decent price, but I was like, am I gonna build more than 4 cars maybe? And I didn't think I would, so I went with the smaller pack, and then I'll get another pack of these and have a few extras if I, when I make a 4th car. But outside of that, I don't think I'll be doing additional passenger cars necessarily. Not for the AP, at least. If I do want to build a full train, I'm gonna need like 10 passenger cars. That's when it would certainly work to have that. But that's down the line. So I got those, and they work with the brass tube really well and everything. So that's all good. So that's what I've been working on. So I have a video out there of when I put fascia on my modules, and of course it was the first time, so it was a terrible attempt. I never fixed them. I haven't moved the modules or anything. I think it'd be more important to cut them down a little bit if I move the modules, but I had some problems doing that. But it was, again, a first time, so I think I learned from that, and I'll do much better next time. Let's see here. So I did finally build the paper towel holder to put on top in the corner of the shelf, and it worked perfectly. It stays, I got the right size in here. It doesn't stay in there locked in, but it stays steadily in there about an inch down, and the paper towels fit right over the top. So it takes a long time to print this, even with it hollow on the inside and everything. So I will have to if you can see in there, I printed it hollow. I'll have to get the other one printed for the other towels. I have shop towels that I use for the wet palette, but they're like the top rung, and it works perfectly. I just grab it, pull paper towel down right off here. It's it's on my left here, easy to pull down to the table. So I'm glad I did that and got that done. So lots of little projects to get me off my game, as they say. But the one thing I was focusing on and I'm still focusing on, is just finishing everything up for the trip we'll be taking to the Chicagoland. I'll definitely be going to visit Lombard Hobby. I've grown to really like their store. Pro tip with them: if you register on the website and have an account on the website, which is like basically an email, then you go to their store. They don't, and they're in the Chicagoland area, so they're going to have some. They're not in Chicago, but they're in a city that charges city tax, and they have state tax. If you're in their system and you're in another state, you're from another state, they don't charge you the city tax, or they don't charge you the tax on what you buy in the store. So I hope I'm not letting that out to the world, but it was a bonus. He just asked me. He asked me I don't know if he asked me for zip code or whatever. And I said, hey, I have an online account. He said, oh, okay. And then he said, you won't get charged tax on that. So that was really neat. And I really like their service. They're very much like Yankee Dabbler in New Jersey, where most of their business is online. So when I went into the Yankee Dabbler, you can't even really move in that store. And they're all bustling and running around filling orders. They don't say hi to you. They don't greet you. They don't ask if they can help you find something. They don't do any of that. It's almost like it felt like I was a bother being there. I've been in there twice now. Completely different view with Lombard Hobby, where they're doing the same thing, but every section of the store there's a guy working there filling orders, and every one of them still asked if I can help them find something, or if I have if I'm finding what I need, and even at one point they're all working on orders. They're down, and I'm at the front of the store, and I was looking at decoders, and all the decoders were behind the counter and on the wall, and they're hard to see, with bad eyes. And so I'm like leaning over, staring at them, and they're like, "Are you looking at the decoders? Just go around and look at them." And so there was a slot to go back behind. They didn't care I was behind the counter, and let me, get up close and behind the counter. So that was just a really, really different experience. So yeah, Jimmy, I got a shock when I first moved out to Minnesota all those years ago, 20 odd years ago. There was a computer game when I think Software Etc. was still around, and I was and so I've been in the store in a number of places, and I was looking for I don't even remember the game. I think it was like Sim City, but I don't remember for sure what the game was. And it looked like it was the right price. It looked really good, and they had it. And I was like, well, and I was hemming and hawing, and Gopher Girl was like, you should get it. You should get it. So I went and I paid, and I, kind of expected the state tax, which was like 6.25 or 6.5, whatever it is. And it was more than it felt like it was an insane price. And I asked him about it. He's like, oh yeah, we have a city tax in Minneapolis. And it was a total tax of 10% back then. That was shocking. And only thing I've ever gone downtown for is hockey or other events. Once in a while we've been to the fancy restaurants on nice, to treat ourselves nicely. But by the time you're paying so much for that, you don't even know what tax is. But I haven't shopped retail in downtown since that incident many years ago. That was when I first moved out here. So, but 9.875 sounds about right for a downtown tax. They have, it's a shame, Boxcar Jerry. They have tons of stuff. They have some of the best online prices that I always check them. Their online price. They're competitive. I know Lombard's definitely competitive with them, but they often have the best price on things, and I will go to them for that, and still pay the shipping and all that. But yeah, it's just not a great experience going in there. They have a ton of stuff. They have anything you need there. And I'm sure if I asked them for something, they would certainly get it for me. So, yeah, there's, I always comparison shop. What I'm finding a lot is the shipping costs aren't that far off with a lot of them. Some of them they are, but a lot of them are doing flat rate shipping, and those are usually around the same price. Um, uh, so, uh, so yeah, and my family is about 45 minutes from there, so to me that's no big deal for a hike down to there. And I think if I lived in the area, I probably would go and you know order. Jerry, do you order from them and then just go pick up, or do you actually go into the store to find what you need and pay, I'm just curious if they do um, store. So um, you just go in. Okay. Um, so let's see if these pull off. I don't know if these are a little more delicate than the tufts are. These don't pull off very easily. But there you go. There's one. Um, I'm just wondering what you all think if I should put these wood piles on there. Should I make my own stain, just use a little bit more black, or I could use I could use the powders. I have the creosote black's really dark. Um, I think that's a little too dark to mess with these, but I can certainly use something. I just think they're a little, and of course, in this light, they're very, very light piles. I don't know if you can see that, and I think that's just, and that might be how they reflect on the model. Just wondering if it's worth putting on there. If anybody, oh, these are just scale lumber piles. Um, so let me pull that back out for our convention here in Minnesota. We have a not a build category for like a popular vote category of a 12 by 12. And so I had built this diorama a while ago with this. This is a Blair Line Walnut Grove Depot. And so I decided to kind of super detail this so you can see. So I thought maybe just trying to fill space here. I mean, I have all those tufts. I could put more tufts down, or I could put the the wood pile. But I could fill that up with tufts. I probably can, fill in these areas with more tufts. Like I have this grouping here of them, but I still have two sheets of tufts that I made, so I have plenty and I have plenty of. I can make more if I need to, but I'm feeling like I've done a lot of this, and I don't know if it needs more. So, let's see if we can get a. Most of my clutter is inside, so you have the clutter in there. The only coverage here, you can still see it if you look in. But that's the most coverage that's going to have on there. Um, and I just don't know how much is going to be seen back here. I just didn't like these sharp edges and things, and wanted to fill that in. The rest of it's just landscaping, so was I'm open to what else we can throw in here. Uh, so But yeah, I just if it's going to be evaluated for structure, I just want to make sure that this is considered super. I mean, this doesn't help any, but I wish I had better camera angles. But I just want to make sure this is super detailed. You know, it's not supposed to have people. I mean, unless I can find a bum like a guy who's sleeping on the, then against the depot or something, but as a figure. But I don't, I didn't want to have people in here. This isn't a house, so I didn't think of putting like a shell of a car with grass growing out of it. I thought that would be neat, but I just didn't think it was good for this scene. So yeah. And then that was another thought, Ken, that I was concerned about, because the key feature is really the graffiti and the broken glass and the wood covered doors with the holes in them. So that's the depot is really the focus. So um, so what you're saying is I got to learn to just put it away and not do anything more to it. I can try to do that. Maybe that'll help me focus on the cab car. So yeah, I could try that. That's very topical. We have adopted dogs, and Gopher Girl has been binge watching Pit Bulls and Parolees, and has gotten me sucked into a couple of those episodes as well. So dogs sniffing around garbage and things like that's very topical for us. So yeah. Well, I think we've hit the quarter-hour mark, hour and a quarter mark. I can't speak very well. That may be why I need a break. Like I said, I've been in the office all week. I put some pictures out of the skyline, Minneapolis skyline from our office building in Bloomington. I'm not in the office next week, but the following week I'm in the office. I'm trying to get a bunch of them out of the way. So I can spend more of the time at home. We used to go on a strict rotation. Now it's kind of like fill in when you can. That's true. Ken, it's hard to give advice when you can't do it yourself. So yeah, so it's not a long commute. I mean, you're dealing with dumb drivers. It's a little stressful that way. It's a longer day at the office, I have to say. I'm easily distracted here at home by, I don't know, model railroading stuff. But when you're in the office, you don't have anything to distract you. I'm so much more productive. And but I'll be in next week, and I think I have one more week in May, and that's it, probably through June, and then I'll have to pick up another 3 weeks for the second half of the year. But it's tiring to do that commute. It's about, I don't know, it actually takes longer to get home, but it's probably about a 45 minutes to hour total commute, and it's just annoying and tiring. And I get home, get dinner, and by then I'm getting tired already, and it's harder to be motivated to get things done. I try to use the deadlines, with these trips coming up and everything, and so I've been closer to getting the dollhouse miniature setup done. and then I'll have to go back to the cab car, and obviously I need to walk away from this thing if I'm done here at this point. Jimmy, it would be if I were to take local roads, it would take even longer because I'd have to wind through the lower Bloomington to come up. Because the office building's right off of 494. Um, so and I'm coming from the better direction. Coming from Chanhassen, so that's southwest of Bloomington. So all the traffic's going the opposite way on the commute. So in the morning, it's going all the traffic, the heavy traffic's going west while I'm traveling east. On the way home, it's a parking lot on 494 going east, and I'm going west home, and it flows. But yeah, it's not so fun, and yeah. So I don't actually have any ballast on here. The darkest parts of these are actually lichen that I was growing between that I was putting between the ties. I've kind of moved the ties around. Um, I can see here. This is the thing. Taking pictures will be the best thing because don't know if I can get this in close, but you can see where maybe it didn't take some of the ground foam and stuff. So there's definitely now you see you're going to make me work on all this stuff again. But I can use dirt on that. I have, I could maybe I can maybe I can use this method and fill in some mud around there. Maybe that would work. Just a little tiny bit. I mean, that would be a tiny amount right there, but you can't really model it. But maybe some mud underneath there, and you could. This is pretty bare all along here, and then I could fill in um, a little bit around there. And I believe I have, I don't know if I have, I think I have like black though. I have tons of pine turf. I have um, fine turf soil, which maybe I could use. I don't know if you can see that, but that's make a mess of my hands. I don't know if you can see that, but it's kind of a black on there, so I could try that as well. But now I definitely see where I could um, do better on that. I think that I'd like to also do another one of these little tufts that's from the brush, and just put it around there, around that sign. And, but yeah, so I certainly could work on those. So Kim, how would you kind of make the shadow of where the ties were? I mean, I could do that. I could do something with the end there that doesn't have much there. Um, hmm, yeah. mean, I probably could pull those two end ties off or something and maybe do something with that. But that's an interesting it's an interesting way to maybe highlight that area. It's a very small detail that happened with the ground foam, but I like it how it cracks back there. And I'm noticing too here as I look close, this needs some cover up, or we need to do something over here because that got there, didn't get covered. There's two spots there. Darn you, Ken. Now I'm gonna have to look over this whole thing. And now I got work to do this weekend. And remember to go to Quick Trip and get your donuts. All right. So just want to say that I appreciate everybody coming along with my on a ride with my journey and joining me. Yes, Gopher Girl, I know I have a honey. It's one thing that I have to do. We all know that it would probably take 2 days to do because that's how I do my projects. I make them way more complicated than they need to be. But yeah, so once again, I appreciate everybody coming along on my journey, and I hope that I'm at least inspiring you to, I don't know, do better than I do, but try something new and just jump in and enjoy the hobby. I will have to take a look at that, Ken, to see. So you're saying so. So Ken, the only thing is there's no roadbed here. This is this track was laid right on the ground. But I could certainly try to simulate something there, especially if I remove a tire or two. You could have the roadbed on there, like you said, and then I could probably like paint it with the ties on it so that it puts in the negative space of where the tie is. You sure do like doing that, Ken. That's absolutely for sure. But like I said, everybody, again, really appreciate you hanging out and seeing what I'm doing, and I hope it inspires you to just jump in and enjoy the hobby. And want to say have a great weekend. I'm sure I'll see a bunch of you on other live streams, and just have a great weekend and just jump in.